Well, they did it. They got USA a medal in the Olympics. USA women's team came through with a bronze medal. It was really about in the range that we were hoping for. Gold is what they said was their goal. And it was a lofty goal. Doable, yeah, I think ultimately doable if everything went right for them. That's very difficult to have that where everything goes right for you. But as I talked about in a few things, a few articles, stuff like that, really there was sort of this main group of teams that were in contention, potentially GB, but really it was New Zealand and Australia were talking about gold. USA and France. France had a chance maybe up to think about gold, but USA, France, Canada, maybe Ireland, maybe GB were thinking about those other medals. It was real tough. As we remember, 3 years ago, the last Olympiad, USA was 3-0 in pool play and then lost in the quarterfinals on a comeback win for Team GB. That was just a tough one to take. So we know how difficult that is. We also know that you can lose a game in pool play and win the whole thing. That's happened so many times. And here, USA lost against France in pool play, but France finished lower. What ultimately happened was, well, I think we talk a lot about impact subs. And I wouldn't put any one player on the USA team as being the most valuable player in this tournament for their team. Why? Because I think all of them did really good things, and all of them had moments where, they'd like back, right? Either mistakes or just times when they weren't really a factor. I think France did a great job, for example, in taking Sam Sullivan out of the game and not making her a factor. It's not really a mistake on Sullivan's part. It's a situation. That's how games sometimes go. But I think if you say the MVP was really the bench, and you have to give kudos to Emily Bidewell for how she managed her bench and her. The issue is, like with the men's team, for years one of the impact subs was Carla Niles, and you bring him on, and the game might be close. Often the USA was like ahead a try, and Isles would go and score a try, ice the game, bam, done, good, right? Very important. But that's not the only way you can have a player be an impact sub. And in fact, I'm not sure for the women's team that was what they needed. They had players who could break away. You didn't have quite as many long breaks through the game. What you needed was defensive ability, defensive shutdown ability when you brought impact players on. And the other thing is you do need not necessarily a finisher, but somebody, if you're struggling to break the line, somebody who breaks through, somebody who creates tries. And that's what they had. Christy Kersey was the one who broke through multiple times, so that she would come on in the second half and she would provide a spark, as in, we're going to get an offensive spark. She's going to put her shoulders down, her body height is really good, and she's going to go through a couple of arm tackles, maybe go all the way to score. She had the speed for that, or set something up for someone else. But really the impact subs were Spiff Cedric and Lauren Doyle. And despite how everything ended, their strengths are defensive. Cedric, and it came off, it was mentioned in the final, she made a huge defensive play, and let's have a look at it, in fact, where she comes in and just slams the Australian player to the ground. Huge tackle, a try-saving tackle. She then gets up and continues to pressure along the line. Sariapaki can be criticized for dropping the pass that could have been a try for Australia, but really it was about the pass. The pass wasn't good. It was slow and high and behind her. And that was because Alev Kelter was already there and she was causing pressure, and Cedric was coming to cause pressure out. And out of the corner of your eye, you suddenly say, hey, I've got to get rid of this, and you've got to rush it. That's what defensive pressure can do. So huge defensive play right there. She'd already saved 5 points in a game that was on a knife edge. Lauren Doyle doesn't really miss tackles. I kind of think of Cedric She's not really big, but she loves to smash people. That's what happens when you play your high school rugby in Utah. So she loves to smash people. Doyle, I don't think of her as a smasher so much. She just makes tackles. Bam, makes tackles. As an impact sub coming on in a leadership position and just said, I'm going to go make tackles, hit rucks, do all that kind of stuff. She was outstanding. And that trio of Kersey, Cedric, and Doyle as the bench impact, probably the most valuable player for the USA on that. Now, a couple of other things about Spiff Cedric. You know, I'm a fan. You know, I've been pushing for her for a while to get more minutes. She had an injury. You know, she has to develop into the system. All of those things. It just seemed to me every time I saw her come on, she would do something special. There was that play. Now, they ended up scoring anyway. But the kick that rolled into in goal, and Ariana Ramsey is going there, and she's expecting it to keep rolling, and it doesn't roll, and it bounces backwards back into the field of play. Cedric dove on that, and if she doesn't dive on that ball, then they give up a try. Now, they gave up a try right after the scrum. Okay, fine. But you don't know that's going to happen. What I'm saying is that's a try-saving play, right? And that's the sort of thing we were seeing from her. Then, of course, there's the big play. Now, what I love about, well, a couple of things. Let's dial back a little bit within the bronze medal game. Remember, USA had already scored a try. Lev Kelter had scored and converted. Both of those very, very important. The Eagles had so much time. They'd been really doing a good job working their way down into Australia territory. The half was about to end. Remember that. They needed to get those points. Then they ran a loop move. Kayla Knet going around Nia Tapper. Tapper does this lovely little one-handed offload to Knet. Now, two issues with Knet. Number one, she's probably the lightest player on the field. She's probably close to the lightest player in the tournament. She's not a big person. And while she's tough, she has good skills, good field vision, all those things. Every now and then, the size gets exposed. She gets rocked off the ball, something like that. So I think if she looked back on the play, she probably would say, needed to get lower. And instead, she stayed upright. I think it was Kaslik came in to tackle her and was able to get around, push her, flip her around, and send her into touch. If she's lower, much lower, like about waist, shoulders at waist height, then she's able to at least control things a little bit better, either power through and score, but more likely get tackled, set a ruck, and they're still playing. Ultimately, though, USA did really, really well off that lineout because Australia had no wiggle room there, and they ended up getting caught in goal. 5-minute scrum for the USA. Now, over the years, on occasion, I've been known to say that the USA women's sevens team is a little bit boring on offense. On occasion. I don't think they were boring. And I don't think they were like unleashing plays out of left field. It's just not their game. But what they learned to do was use their assets a little bit better. And it just took some time. And one of the things they did very well, and I mentioned this in description of their game against Great Britain, where Tapper scored a try, is the idea of taking a disadvantageous numerical situation when you have the ball and turning it into an advantage. And they did it several times. And it's not, Australia likes to run sideways until people are all chasing them. It's either like the Battle of Gargamella, go look that up. That's kind of the tactic they're using. Well, the USA, it's more direct. So against GB, Ilona Maher, facing two defenders. There's one marking Nia Tapper, sort of. So Maher just goes straight for the one marking Tapper. The other two have to worry about Maher. They've got no one else. Oh, well, let's worry about her. Suddenly, bam, three start worrying about Maher. Pass out to Tapper. Tapper goes 50, scores. Beautiful. It's smart. It's field vision. It's exciting. It's good. It's not flashy, but it's basic, smart play. Off this scrum against Australia, Kelter does the same thing. She's got a 1-on-3. I'm worried about 3 players. Scrum half, 2 backs. The yellow card is over. We've got a third worrying about the wing. What do? You target that space outside those 2. If the other one bites in, pass it, try. She didn't bite in. There's a hole right there. Very close to the line. She didn't have to go very far, but ran low. She's physically powerful. Kelter scores that try. It's a big try. It's very, very important. Right before halftime, they tie it up. Okay, so Australia does score. Good try. They're a good team. And then we come to the final thing. Now, one of the things about rugby in general, 15s and 7s, is the idea of this. If you need a score to win and time is up, don't think of it as you run out of time. Think of it that you have all the time in the world. Don't you? Time's up. You don't need to do anything fast because you only need to score once. And if you score once, you win because the game will be over. So you don't have to rush. Every now and then, a lot of times I see teams rush. They hear the hooter and they're like, okay, we've got to go now. No, you don't. And the USA team did not rush. Now, the hooter hadn't quite gone when they were playing with it. Once Steph Ravetti rescued that bouncing ball, took it up, Ramsey passes it out. Ramsey did a very nice job of working hard to get B half back in 2 straight breakdowns. That was like 20 seconds down to 15, 10, 5. It requires patience. I think Mar especially showed great patience, bashing into a couple of tacklers and then saying, okay, well, this is about it. This is as far as I go. Look, I've got someone with me. Doyle's with me. Bam, down you go. Doyle wins the ruck. Ramsey sends it out. The thing about Cedric was she was sort of in the same mindset, except a couple of things. She didn't really have anybody behind her just yet, so she had to fight a little bit more. And the first fight she got, she won. So she keeps moving. Oh, the second fight she got, she won. And guess what? All that green grass, lovely Stade de France grass right in front of her. And then she just goes. And there's patience and there's urgency. And you have to have both of them. And she changed swiftly from patience. I'm just going to go forward, not worry too much, not try to fling the ball around. Just go until I can set that ruck, and we're going to keep moving because we're out of time. So we may as well just work our way through to there's the chance, take it. Take it now, take it now, take it now, go. And that's what she did. And that's why Cedric has become a star, right? She's suddenly become an international superstar. An international superstar to the level that very few American rugby players, American women rugby players get to, and it happened in the space of a few seconds. Nobody really knew who she was. A couple of nice photos of her playing, right? Pointing to her husband. She's running in for a try earlier in the tournament, which is cool. Ilona Mar is a big star on TikTok and Instagram, and Nia Tapper has a big following on Instagram. These sorts of social media things, great. But people watching the Olympics, so they get to be doing the interview the next morning on NBC.
No, it was definitely a long way to go, and I was just trying to remember all the training that we've been putting in for months.
They get to be shown all over. Well, this is not only the play of the day, not only the play of the day for the Americans. People are talking about, at least the Americans talking about, it's the play of the Olympics. It's the biggest clutch play of the Olympics.